Well, morning, guys. It's 5:26 in the morning, West Coast time. A very chilly morning, November 16th, 2024, and I'm checking out some news sources for things that kind of remind me of. Oh God, man, I just can't stand it. Evictions happening at the end of the month, or actually after uh, the first of the year of 2025. Sweetwater, Florida, in a trailer park, hundreds of homes. And the corporate decided, not the local management, but the corporate decided to do some renovations in the park, which means people had to get out and get their places mowed over or something like that. Kicking people out. They had 2 or 3 months, given a little bit of cash incentive. I mean, great for the first portion of it, but it gets smaller and smaller towards the day of eviction, and the people are pissed off about it. I wouldn't blame them. People have been there for a generation or two in trailer homes. They grew up in there. It makes a tight community, especially when you meet a lot of people and everyone depends upon each other. Even if it means if you happen to be living in an apartment complex and you stay here for a generation, it still becomes home. It becomes a place that you're comfortable with, you grow up in, you raise families. You see neighbors going through a lot of issues. But this was dumb. Not of the people's part, but of the corporate. Corporate probably got a better price for the land itself. Maybe to put some kind of commercial building or parking lot or something like that. Wasn't going for renovation. It lied through their teeth, I think. I mean, that's accusations, but they're not getting back to the people on this one. Their manager didn't even come out to talk with with the people. They just hid. And they're doing the same situation me and my brother did a long time ago before we got this place. Brings me to the story where my brother and I were reeling over Mama's death. We were living in another apartment complex that was stayed there for 5 years. I mean, for my family throughout its generation, throughout my lifetime, we never stayed in a place long enough to really call it home. I mean, 1 or 2 months or 3 months here, or no, months, years. I think the longest I've stayed in a rental was 12 years. We called it a home during that time. And it was the last place we had before we moved out from the San Fernando Valley. We couldn't find any other places to live. No available places, not big enough, and definitely not in the price range we had, and definitely not available or taking dogs. I mean, there was a lot of factors, and we had to move out to Antelope Valley. We didn't realize one particular place that we moved into was going through bank foreclosure. We were told through so-called friends that they had it, but they weren't telling us that they were selling the damn place or actually getting it repossessed by the bank. So we had it for several months until we got the notice to 30-day pay or quit. No, actually, a 30-day get out period. And we had to find another place, a couple more places. We decided there's a place out in Lancaster, somewhere, an apartment complex we found. And we were actually able to get stuff moved, settled in. And we stayed in there for about 5 years until management decided that they needed to get some more space and close out the handicaps or something like that. I don't know what was their major malfunction. They knew we actually had a mother in the apartment complex suffering through. Uh, she was basically long term dying at this point. We turned it into a hospice, at home hospice. And we couldn't get the place sprayed for bugs because he used chemicals. We couldn't move her out. Gave the company an incentive to get us out of here. We fought, lost, and moved out. But in that process, Ma died. Dave and I were on survival. Had to find a place. We found one place out in Roseman, trailer park. We thought we had it made. No, we didn't. It's like several months after we stayed there, they started raising rates. Long, long time we had to fight them until we got thrown into the court system. Until either pay or quit. You got this short amount of time. We couldn't raise it. So they gave us the kick out. They gave us the kick out. I know what it's like to be homeless for about a month on the streets. Left. Living in a motel. Charity of kindness people left and right. Till we got the apartment. Dave Social was paying for it all. But nearly at the end of his time, my Social Security was kicking in, so we were definitely paying in a place. He passes away in 2018. Ma passed in 2013. Place has been mine ever since. Leftover dregs. That's what it is. I know what it's like to stay in a place for long enough where you can call it home, or somewhat comfortable enough for it anyway. And a lot of people says we're not going to pay the rent because what you're doing. See, my family, my brother and I weren't the only ones in the trailer park in Roseman that was going through the same situation. Others did the same thing, and we all got evicted. So every time I keep hearing about these eviction situations happening in different places, yeah, I take an interest in it. There were places out in LA County that was kicking people out. People have been in an apartment complex for years, decades. Then the management company decides, okay, we're going to do something else, get more people, get this renovated so we can get higher rent in here. In order to do that, get the low income out. And they're fighting through the courts on that one. People have been in places for decades, long terms. Makes me wonder about this particular place. It's not of a high enough turnover. There's not enough profit. They're getting enough rent out of us anyway to keep increasing the rent on everybody. Cost of living goes up, rent goes up. Prices of everything going up. It's not keeping it up enough. Current administration did all they could. Now we got the new administration coming in. They're going to be screwing us over left and right. And we're going to be seeing that. Not going to be happy about it, but it's what's happening. So now I'm dealing with what is. But I sympathize with a lot of these people over there. What the current wrangling, scratch that. With the current circus building up its administrative idiocies, that's going to be taken over January 20th. It's got everybody else on edge. A lot of people on edge. There's controversies going on back and forth. of whether or not the candidates are going to be actually helping people or not. And knowing the Trumplican Party, as we all do, they're not. Electoral math won. And now we got the gas bags going to be screwing us over for the next 2 years. So now we got to deal with it. There had been talk in different conservative chat groups, or even national, or even international, about how we're supposed to be calming it down and accepting everything because they won, and we're not supposed to fight about it. We're not supposed to say anything about it. Yeah, just because they got the currently for the next 2 years, if they're going to be lucky enough. Current House, current Senate, and the judicial, and the executive branch. These people ever realize that it's American to dispute and protest and go crazy? I mean, 2016 through 2018, not that much because we're still trying to feel out the old gas bag who didn't know what the hell he was doing. He was never in government in the first place. He didn't care. He only cared about his own playtime with the golf range. Didn't care about government or about governing. Never had the experience, didn't care about it. But people voted his ass in there because they couldn't deal with the current political level. They heard the mystical talk from this gas bag who was going to be helping them out. Yeah, they helped him out all right. Screwed up jobs, deficit hawks, inflation out of control. We're going to be running into the same situation. We're running into the same situation, and now we got these. Now we got the Trumplican Party going to be screwing it over the next 2 years. Next year it's going to happen. And we got to deal with it, don't we? I hate to tell these people, but we're going to keep protesting until midterms, and then after that we'll see what happens. If the midterms happens to show up more of a Democratic support, hopefully, will the court system say this is illegal because the voting's illegal? Now they're going against the U.S. Constitution. What concerns about the whole situation is if the Constitution is going to get redrafted one way or another. There are certain processes in the Constitution that the newly elected Senate leader is going to have issues with. He doesn't want it. He'd rather secede power to the gas bag and the Trumplicans. Even Speaker of the House is probably contemplating the same situation. Some of the legislative and administrative going into the gas bag's office and the executive. That goes against the Constitution right there. If there are staunch conservatives who are actually outside the Trumplican thinking, perhaps they could say or do something differently at this point. Prevent this from happening once the new administration takes over. And within a 2-year period, do they want to make those kind of changes? Because I sure as hell don't want those damn changes. But the other people are fine to be an autocratic society. They're willing enough for it, at least in my town anyway. There's maybe a few staunch Democrats out here, but the rest of them are all Trumplicans. The town I live in is Rosamond, California, the armpit of the Antelope Valley, California area. And they're all, most of these guys are Trumplicans. They don't want things to heat up. They didn't like the contentious arguments. They kept saying, Trump, 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 Trump. They forgot what happened back in 2016 through 2018. They even forgot what the hell happened after that to 2020. What did the hell happen during that time? He was still in office and we were still going out of our mind in debt. We didn't balance the budget. There was no balancing of the budget at all. CRT went to hell in a handbasket. More tax breaks for the rich. And a lot of attacks on the healthcare system itself. No removal because they didn't have anything to deal with. They didn't want to deal with it. I remember the first two years when the Republicans took over Congress. They couldn't make up their damn minds. They wanted to pass bills differently, but they couldn't get themselves in a consensus at that point. And during the 4 years, they lost the Speaker of the House. Kevin McCarthy wanted it so damn badly, he was willing to fight for it. Made deals left and right. Basically, within a year, he screwed himself over. And then we had another guy who got screwed over as well. So now we got Mike Johnson who's willing to kiss ass. Make nice. Oh, shit. How about this for First Amendment rights in Hollywood, though? If you happen to protest, or even within the Disney Corporation, if you happen to protest things happening, you're not allowed to do that. No wonder you're getting sued. Disney Corporation sucks. Eisner caved in. Oh, what else are we going to be seeing with the news reports these days? There's still some pushback, and I don't know if there's going to be any hearings or not, regarding the Alex Jones InfoWars situation. They just should let it die. He's already owing survivors millions of dollars that he doesn't have. Almost practically $1 billion that he doesn't have. And so with bankruptcy, and he still says it's against America, wake the fuck up, you dumb shit. Bankruptcy happens all over the place. It is part of the American cycle. It's reported that one judge had stopped the sale of it. I don't think so. If they did, that would have made been making news and talk. But I guess maybe. Let me see. Okay, so within the past 2 days, they're still talking about the one thing I don't see in the headlines is who's stopping the whole thing. That I don't see. I mean, if there is going to be somebody halting, well, Variety's got it. Standard processes. Huh? Now the winning bid for I'm reading off of Variety. The Onion's winning bids for the assets of Alex Jones' bankruptcy conspiracy theory site, InfoWars, is under further review. Bankruptcy judge overseeing the Chapter 7 liquidation of InfoWars and Jones's assets on Thursday temporarily halted the transfer of InfoWars to the Onion and ordered an evidentiary hearing for next week to review the auction in which bids were submitted secretly. No one should feel comfortable with the results of this auction, said the judge. Judge Christopher Lopez of the U.S. Bankruptcy Court for the Southern District of Texas. Figures. He said at an emergency status conference, according to an audio recording of the hearing shared by the court in the docket Friday. Jones and his Free Speech Systems, LLC parent company of InfoWars, filed bankruptcy in 2022. That came as families of the victims in the Sandy Hook mass shooting in Connecticut won a $1.4 billion verdict in their defamation lawsuit against Jones, who had repeatedly lied about the tragedy on his platforms and bizarrely accused the families of collaborating in an anti-gun conspiracy plot with the United States government, of which the family was irate about the damn thing and launched wars after him. It was a bloody mess on that one. The Onion's winning bid for InfoWars was backed by the Connecticut families, which agreed to forego a portion of the recovery to increase the overall value of the Onion's bid, according to the lawyers for the families. In a statement Friday to Variety, Ben Collins, the ex-NBC News reporter, who is now CEO of the Onion's parent company, said, the joint bid from Global Tetrahedron and the Connecticut families have been selected as the winning bid for the InfoWars. The sale is currently underway, pending standard processes. At a bankruptcy court hearing Thursday afternoon in Houston, lawyers for Jones and the other bidders in InfoWars auction, First United American Companies, which operates the shopalexjones.com website. Unfortunately, I just gave that son of a bitch news on that one. They're much for free advertising, a son of a bitch. Complained about the secrecy of the process in which bids for the best and final offer were sealed. The terms of the Onion's winning bid have not been disclosed. The trustee who oversaw the auction told court that the Onion did not have a higher cash bid than First United, which had about $3.5 million. But according to Murray, the Onion's deal was picked up as the superior offer because the Connecticut families agreed to forego much of the money Jones owes them in order to pay the other creditors. With the bid from the Onion and Connecticut families, the creditors ended up significantly better off, and that's why it was selected as the winning bidder. He said he called the family's agreement to waive the monetary claims as a gift to the other InfoWars creditors. That's a long-ass article on this one here, that's for damn sure. Let's go tit for tat on this one, bidding wars here. And the conservatives are jumping up and down and having a conniption fit, at least a few of them anyway. I know Steve Bannon was having a conniption fit, at least according to the independents out there. Bannon's already an idiot anyway. So, InfoWars must be secured because the freedom of America depends upon it. Bullshit. You got con artists who are trying to gather around each other, trying to protect each other's scams and stuff. God forbid they should actually fall down. But InfoWars, there's some scary conspiracies against the government, against the deep dark state. Well, we all know that was bullshit anyway, but this is happening now. It shouldn't be taking up a lot of the press time on this one because everyone else is still freaking out about Trump and his appointments and his constant need to change the government system completely on its heels. Just turn the whole damn thing around and screw everybody else at the same damn time, and he doesn't care. He likes to chaos and confusion. He's Donald Trump. So, we're screwed up on this one. I still want to see the Onion buying them off. Just to shut people down and tell them to go shut themselves. Anyway, that's my own personal opinion about it.